All right, so Shane here, dailyastrocat.com. We got our top 5 weekly astrological events for this week of June 30th. And this is going to primarily focus on one day and then another day because we've got a lot of activity happening on Tuesday, the 2nd of July. And then we also have a new moon on Friday, the 5th of July. So without any further ado, let's do this right here. All right. I don't know how I can get rid of this screen sharing thing up in the corner, but that's all right. We're just going to keep that there. All right. So on 7/2, which is Tuesday at 4:29 in the morning, we're going to have this nifty Moon Uranus conjunction, and this is going to trigger us off with a starting point where we were going to. We're going to start feeling some of the volatility that Uranus has been going under. Now, if you've been looking at financial markets, particularly crypto markets and Wall Street and stuff like that, you'll notice that there's been a lot of fluctuation back and forth on all of, with all of those things considered. This just kind of highlights where Uranus is hanging out, and we're going to take a look at the chart for it right now. And right here it is. So I can't get rid of that darn thing. Can I move this? Yeah, I guess I can move it over here. Okay, that looks good. All right, so at least we got those controls over there, right? So now, let's talk about this, because this is set for 4:29 Framingham, Mass, which is where I live, and it's 7/2. And you'll notice that Uranus is this little guy right here, okay, conjunct with the moon. That is, pay no attention to the clock faces, because if you're not on the East Coast and you're not where I live, this isn't going to pertain to you. It's depends on where you're at on the globe is what determines this outer dial and the actual houses, okay? The planet formations, not the outer dial, but the planets stay in these outer formations right here. It's the houses that change because the Earth is kind of like, it's relative to the position of the planets on your spot on this planet right here, the Earth. So we have these two right here, and they would be right just as the sun, just as it would rise, just like it were sun, like it were dawn. You can see the sun is back here. So this is a nighttime chart because we got the sun down here, and this is the horizon line, eastern horizon, western horizon. This is the midheaven. This is the noon point, right? So what we're looking at here is we're looking at the moon and Uranus conjunct. Now, curiously enough, Uranus is in a spot with where it's conjunct with this with a fixed star, and the fixed star is Algol, and Algol is basically in the constitution of Perseus. It is called Beta Perseus for a star name, but it's also called Algol, which is Algaul in Arabic, which means the demon. And essentially, if in the constellation of Perseus, the head of Medusa is pretty much where Algol is. Algol is actually the eye of the Medusa, the severed Medusa head. So Algol's got some fascinating stuff going on with it because it's a variable star, but it's a variable only because it's a binary system that two stars that rotate around each other, and they do so very rapidly. So every 2.87 and all sorts of crazy digits afterwards, 2.87, maybe 325 or 365 days, the brightness the brightness of Algol diminishes for 10 hours as those star systems eclipse each other as they're rotating around as one bright star, one duller star. And when the bright stars, when the two stars are exposed, then that's when it's bright. When they start eclipsing each other, that's when you find that the brightness diminishes. So I've seen it called the blinking eye of the demon. It's called what's called a Behenian star. There's 15 of them, and this star has a really icky reputation. You can imagine it's literally it meant off with their heads back in the day. If you think about the myth of the Gorgons, how they were all beautiful and their vanity was punished. So Medusa is the most beautiful of them all, yet she has snakes growing from her head, and she has the her gaze would turn potential suitors into stone. And this is how she was punished for being so vain about her beauty. So in some respects, some people take this to mean that it's a captured beauty, that it's got it is beauty in itself, and but it's kind of like a repressed kind of beauty. It's think about it. These are written by men, right? Right. So this is really a misogynistic way of portraying this vanity, this shallow kind of vanity, and it's kind of interesting. I think that what it does, what it gives us, is it gives us this volatility to the star. Now, believe it or not, on the second, well, not today, but the second, on the second, at about 3:29 in the afternoon is when it starts, when Algol starts another phase where the brightness diminishes. They call that the minima. So it enters a minima phase, and that lasts about 10 hours, roughly. And then it goes back to regular brightness, and which is makes it a pretty bright star. When Algol is bright, it's probably about the sixth brightest star in the sky. It's pretty bright, and then when it diminishes, it goes down to 60th. So it kind of like regularly fluctuates up there. And I think that's a great metaphor for markets. I think it's a great metaphor for the public sentiment lately. I think it's a great metaphor for a lot of different things that are happening. And we have the Uranus, our planet of unexpected surprises, earthquakes, all that nice stuff. And you can see who's coming closer, right? Mars. Mars is going to be crossing this point. That's for another day. So this part right here, this triggers an event because the waning moon, which is where we're at, because we're heading towards the new moon on the 5th in Cancer, really likes these earth signs, likes the signs of Taurus. It likes the water signs in some way, in ways also. So that waning moon kind of just gives us a chance to be like, you know what? We're in this 12th degree right here. We're going to finish this. Let's finish whatever it is that we're doing. Let's finish what we got going on. Now, that 12th degree doesn't even really matter, the 12th house right there, because that's not where we're really at. And I said degree, and I didn't mean to. It's actually, you can see it right here. It's 25th degree. So it's right around the 25th, 24th degree, where all this action's taking place. So we have this right here. Well, you can see the moon who's got a grand trine with, surprise, Black Moon Lilith and Pluto. So the moon is going to give us some of these aspects, and you can see this right here. There's a sextile between Neptune, Pluto, and the moon, and a trine between the moon, that's this blue line right here, and Pluto. These are beneficial aspects. This is called a mini grand trine, like a baby trine. Not quite so good as the great big one you see here with Pluto and Black Moon Lilith and the moon, and consequently that would be Neptune, not Neptune, Uranus as well. So we have all this stuff going on right here, but we have this mini one right here. Now this tail, this other one on top of it, this forms what's called a kite, and I'm going to go into that when I get into the other part. But just keep that kite in mind, because that's going to be kind of like a recurring theme. You can kind of see there's another one down here with Mercury at the tip of it, and between Black Moon Lilith and Mars, perhaps. Yeah, that is Mars, isn't it? Yeah, no, that's that point right there. That's Uranus and the moon and Pluto as well. So we've got Pluto in the mix. We've got some change. We've got some volatility. We've got some power to be gotten here. There's some real power at play, and the power is the one thing that's going to unify this first kite here. The desire and the drive for power, the lust for power, is going to motivate this one down here. We also have Neptune, and we're going to get into some of that right now. So this is Neptune. Hello, Neptune. How are you? Now, Neptune is going to do something funny today. Neptune is going to go retrograde. So Neptune, a retrograde, what is that going to bug? Well, think about it. You've got these illusions, you've got these dreams, you have spirituality that we've been exploring. We have these Pisces themes that empathy, understanding. What does it really mean to be empathic? What does it really mean to be on a spiritual path, or are you really on a spiritual path? What is the spiritual path that you're on? And then the other question is, what about your creativity? How has your creativity been helped or hindered? We're ending the time of this Neptune and Pisces, this grand rethinking of belief structures and what it is that we are wanting to be doing. And soon, as this creativity is on steroids, and so is the illusion and the delusion, and all of these things are just coming to a head. And this drive towards propaganda and sensationalizing everything, and the media drive for money, that we're just going to look at this now. When we back out of that, what are we looking at? Well, we're going to review it, right? That's what these retrogrades are good for. Review. So review your dreams. Review what it is you've been creating. Review how you create and how you can use it better to address these Pisces issues of creativity, of poetry, of love, of feelings for other folks, feelings for people other than yourself, and serving a higher purpose. Now, Neptune is in that 29th degree of Pisces, like I told you, and that makes these feelings of it supercharged. And they say that the 29th degree of any sign is called the anaretic degree. It can be those qualities amplified, and particularly negative ones. Astrologers like to focus on the negative qualities, the delusions, the illusions of Pisces, and that would be Neptune and Pisces. So and Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, so that love is a pining love, and that attraction becomes a almost fatal attraction. That religiosity of it, for lack of a better word, of spirituality, becomes just about fatalistic, and addictions can become really, really bad. So that's what you're looking at when you're looking at a 29th degree of Pisces. Any sign, you just take what those negative qualities are, you can kind of exacerbate them, but then it also can help you focus on some of the more positive aspects of those particular signs. Now, once we've addressed that, we have Neptune going retrograde. We're going to review all of that stuff. We got another aspect of 753. And this is a Mercury-Neptune trine right there. There it is. So I've got my Neptune going retrograde chart right here. And as you can see, it moves just a little bit because we're following the sun. The sun was down here before, below the horizon. Now it's daytime. The sun is above the horizon. This group that right here is right about mid-morning. And we've got the North Node right here at the midday point. Saturn right here and Neptune have moved beyond it. Now, technically, some folks are calling this conjunct. It's not really. It's a wide conjunct, and you're going to start feeling the effects of Saturn and Neptune coming together. And this is going to be, this is quite the exploration point, I think, only because we cannot get to the outer planets. This was the limit before. This made that limit. Now, my point at the beginning of the year was that the brother of Saturn in the Etruscan system was Janus. Janus was the god of gateways and portals, and January is named after Janus, so it's a portal. This portal right here is going to join with Neptune, and Neptune blasts that wide open. So here's the limitation, and this is the way that we get to the outer planets. The outer planets being Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Even though Pluto's a dwarf planet, still a planet, right? We also have all those funny ones with the names like Sedna or Haumea or Quarar or Orcus or Eris, for that matter. And remember, Eris is kind of sitting right here in Aries. So there's always something happening with those outer planets. And they say that the further away that they are, they still affect us just as much, only because it's gravitational wells that form. Now, I don't know if I don't know. Ptolemy thought that it was the light that affected us, the light. And if you listen to people talk about these, all the things that are happening, particularly new agey ones, they're talking about light codes. There's light codes that are coming in. Oh, these different light codes, beings of light. We're moving into the light. It's a very interesting conversation that they've been having, but now you can see this kite is very prominent here. Look at that; it's right up and down. You can see where Lilith, with her desire and her drive and her empowering female passions, is directly opposite this illusion of Neptune in the that anaretic degree as it's starting to go retrograde. Does this mean that women's causes will be going backwards? Well, they have been, haven't they? And this has been very slow coming up to this degree, and you can pretty much tie it right in with what's been happening that affects women's reproductive rights, particularly in the United States, which has been very I'm not going to editorialize on it too much, but I think that more freedom is better, and women definitely deserve to have their own say in their own health outcomes and not be tied to somebody else's beliefs or religions or anything like that. So, and that's really a theme of Neptune and Pisces, right? Beliefs and religions, and this tension right here. We've got Pluto backing up in Aquarius. That's power to the people. Power to the people. That's going to swing right back into Capricorn. Yeah, will it take those rights? And well, the rights are already gone, right? In some places. So will it just get worse or will it get better? And then we have Pluto and Uranus over here saying, whatever you think is going to happen is not going to happen because something totally different is going to be most likely the case. We forgot there's a long-running sextile between Pluto and Neptune. So this, whatever happens, it's bound to be a creative, a source of inspiration for folks that are so inclined. Like most of the people that listen to this podcast, we are here for because we like the creative implications of it. And we can also see this reverse kite here with Mercury and Pluto. So this is the opposing ideas as well. We have Mercury in very close to the anaretic degree of, it's in the anaretic degree, see 29 degrees, 50 minutes of Cancer. So now Cancer, that's that maternal instinct gone wild, okay? Feral. Got a feral thing going on here. Are we daring Pluto to go back into Capricorn so we can really mess this stuff up? Are we really pushing it like that? Are we daring it? I dare you. I so dare you. Lilith is just sitting there saying, yes, I will not be subjugated by what's out here, what's represented by the patriarchy. Okay, so that's just some food for thought. The Mercury-Neptune trine occurs at 7:53, and this is kind of interesting because now we bridge this area right here to Neptune. And this kind of cements what the creativity can possibly do. We've got water signs just there. I mean, we're talking about some crazy female energy. We're also talking about these two right here just teaming up. And what can we do to make this happen? Are we just going to melt down into and just not do anything? Or are we going to pull ourselves up and get ready to go? Now, Mercury's moving very fast, just like the moon's moving very fast. These aspects are very tightly connected because we've got a very tight timeline. Remember, we began at 4 something in the morning and we're only at 8 o'clock. So we've got 4 hours and we've got 3 major events that happened. Actually, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the third. So we got 3 major events that have already happened. That we have Mercury doing a sign change immediately after this. That's going to be the 4th because Mercury's moving quick. and will enter Leo before too long. So we've got this whole thing going on here. It doesn't last very long, but it has a resonance to it. There's something here that's working between these 2 points here, this point here, and then this point up here. You can kind of see that it almost makes a boxy type of thing. That's called I believe it's called an astrologer square. And this is a very intuitive and very powerful. It's got almost a magical kind of power to it. That's going to be able to take the what Pluto, what Neptune, what Mercury, and what Lilith are doing, and just really, just remember the women have the power. They're going to rise up. This is not a happy chart, but it's not a negative chart. It's a PO'd chart, right? Just pissed off. I think you're going to be very surprised. We thought that we were surprised for the last couple of elections in the United States about the power of women. I think it's going to get even more powerful. I think it's going to be even more substantial. And I would not be surprised if there were a female that would come into power this kind of a chart with this kind of it's being talked about, it's being discussed. This is in the collective zeitgeist right here. And it's also well within the chances of making it manifest because we have 2 earth signs involved here and we've got 2 water signs. If you can dream it, you can do it, right? Now this is kind of out of sign down here because we have Black Moon Lilith has just entered into Libra. This is a partnership. We're building these partnerships. This partnership is starting to happen. So we've got these alliances that are being formed around here. Now, it's said too much already, right? Okay, now we have our planet Mercury entering the sign of Leo. Isn't that a cool AI image? I made that in Google's Gemini, and it just I don't see any extra thumbs on it. He doesn't have any strange nostrils or anything. I think it's a really, really handsome image, and just text to image, and that made that, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, and that's just a surface shot of Mercury by one of the flybys. So now Mercury is going to enter Leo at 8:50 in the morning. So at 8:50 in the morning, we watch where Mercury is. Now Mercury's just on that. Mercury's come up, and it's on the cusp right here. So it's going to go boom and dip down into Leo because all the planets move in this direction, right? Because the Earth is moving in the opposite. As the Earth turns, the planets appear to be moving, but they're not. It's the Earth that's moving. So even though it looks like this is east and this is west, the sun's going to go this way. Now the Earth's actually turning this way and the sun's constant. So you have to turn the whole wheel. That being said, we've got Mercury at that 0 degree of Leo, and it's opposite Pluto. And once again, everything that I said about that kite and all that stuff, instead of the female energy, now we're taking on a more public-facing, a more courageous, a more active, wanting to do something about it within the context of this rectangle right here. So and now, what I was talking about, the bringing together of the plans and trying to plan for women to be empowered, now we're actually going to see more of it come out. It's going to be more public, much more public. It's kind of fascinating. Mercury in Leo does pretty good. Mercury in Cancer, not so good. The Mercury doesn't do too very well in the water signs, only because that intuition kind of fogs up the communication parts of Mercury as well as the thought processes. Mercury likes to be more Virgoan in some ways, but then again, if you think about it, Virgoan is much more forgiving of their friends in Pisces because the two of them can, they may not see eye to eye, but they can certainly understand there's a mutual respect and fascination for each other's outlooks. So we've got this receptivity to this psychic element in here, even though Mercury is like very debilitated here. It's a very gifted debility, and the same with the Mercury in Cancer. It's a debility, but it's a gifted one because it trades intuition for the logical, and hopefully I've done that right. So who knows? Okay, here's what I wanted to illustrate. I actually drew on this one when with Mercury going in just to illustrate the kite happening right here, and the kite is there's actually a kite down here. So that was a poor choice of mine to illustrate the kite because I could have done it with Mercury as well, down in this position with Pluto. But we can see the grand trine between the Moon, Uranus, Black Moon Lilith, and Pluto. And then we can see the axis point between Neptune and Black Moon Lilith. And we can also see the trine point between Pluto and Uranus and the Moon. Now, Pluto and Uranus, that's kind of interesting because that's a beneficial aspect. So I think that as variable as things can seem to be moving, both of Pluto is moving retrograde, so it's kind of reviewing what those changes have been that's been happening. Remember, we've had Uranus sitting in this position for about 7 years now, 8 years in Taurus. So we're starting to get towards the end of it, and next year we're going to have Uranus actually leave and go and move into Gemini, and this is going to change things dramatically around idea space communication, short travel, all of that thing. We'll probably see more electric taxis and stuff like that. You just don't know because Uranus is that unpredictable. The minute you think you can start predicting something, it's like, oh, we're going to see a different crypto exchange. We're going to see a different stock exchange. Yeah, that stuff's already been proposed. However, what you don't know is you don't know how it's going to be affected, and we don't know how it's going to move. We know that Pluto's involved here with Uranus, so we know that it can be involved in a way that's both. We're reviewing what the changes are, what those sudden changes can be, and just how powerful those changes can get. But this is that kite configuration. Now, here's a different one. This one's a cradle configuration. Now, a cradle is a series of sextiles. So it's all these planets helping each other, but there's an opposition point here. So our opposition point on this cradle is Mercury and Pluto. That was that whole, that part of this magic quadrangle here, that rectangle of empowering women. But now if we look at it, this axis right here, we have Mercury at one end of this, with Pluto at the other. So these guys, see the crisscross right here? Neptune and this meets somewhere in the middle, but the cradle holds all the planets that are inside. And if you look at it, every planet that's in the sky is within this cradle, this 180-degree arc, except for Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith is not a planet. It is a point. It is one of those points that's out in space, kind of like nodes. The nodes are out there too. The south node would be down here in Libra. That'll be our next eclipse point. So you can see this cradle just holding things in. These sextiles are all working to help each other, and they work in a way to overcome whatever is this opposition here. So this opposition between Pluto and Mercury is really an empowering kind of energy because it takes Neptune and the Moon and Uranus all into account on this part of this kite, keeps the desire out of it, but it adds the fire of just taking whatever energy is in that north node in this axis right here, because it's going to pass through here, the north and the south. Yeah, it passes through there. Just like these two are going to interact with each other, this energy is going to be affected by this cradle right here. And the cradle is actually just pouring some of that power down on the earth because it's invert up here, right? It's inverse, an inverse cradle. That's my particular take on it. It didn't really do much as far as corroborating some of this stuff, but I'm just feeling this intuitively right now, and my intuition is telling me that this cradle is almost like a dome of protection. It keeps us from the variability of some of these things that are out here, and it just makes us see the regular variability, a variety of this Algol configuration that's conjunct with Uranus, and makes us feel like, hey, we're in a nice spot, right? Guess what? Cancer. It's like a cover. It's like a shell. You see it? It's a shell. That's our shell. This is our spot where we're just like, okay, I get it. We've got some women. We've got this activity. We've got this female empowerment thing going on. We have Neptune backing up. Yeah, is it almost spiritual? Yeah, it can be. We have all this volatility over here. How can we best protect ourselves from this volatility and just be in a happy spot right here? Well, we've got our sun in Cancer. This is a protective shell. All right. Intuitive, right? Last aspect I have for this day. Now, mind you, this is all one day. This is the 2nd of July. All of these times are just for one day. We got a Venus-Saturn trine. Now, Venus-Saturn, the trine between Venus and Saturn, it just kind of like, you can see how it's just like, it looks like a popcorn machine now. We just got bing, 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 bing. We've got a couple grand trines. We've got these axis points right here. The midheaven and the nadir. They call this the nadir, the immenscelli and the mediancelli. That's the immenscelli. That's the mediancelli. We've got now the basket, see this? And the cradle is upside down, but it's still, your planets are all on the other side. It doesn't really matter where it's at on relation to this, but you can see how everything flips around. This is nighttime. The sun is already down. We've got the stars out. We don't have any planets because all the planets are over on this side. We just have stars, right? Just have the stars out. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at Venus, which is right here. We're looking at Saturn over here now. So they're both in water signs. So we will find that this love that we're protecting, there's an intuitive, creative process that's going on right now that we can really latch onto and use it to just take our expressions to another level. We've already done some things with it. We're doing some of the work. But there's more work to be done. We're working harder. We're reviewing. We're doing the creative stuff, reviewing it. Now, you can kind of tell by this presentation that I've taken that to heart, right? Got some different graphics, got some different things going on here. So that's a pretty interesting take. And last but not least, we go to the 5th of July, our new moon in Cancer. This is going to occur at 6:57. Now, this is in the rocking chair. We had a full moon in Capricorn, we have a new moon in Cancer, and we will have another full moon in Capricorn coming at the end of the month. I'm going to have more to say about that probably in about a week or so, but I've already alluded to that this is a realignment of the planets, of these lunar cycles. Because before we were having the culmination phase happening before the new moon phase, and the culmination phase that was happening before, the new moon in the sign was actually with the preceding sign. So we didn't have a new moon that would build up to the moon. So say like in Cancer, we didn't have a new moon in Cancer that built up to the full moon in Capricorn and then gave way to the next new moon in Leo, which would in turn be a full moon in Aquarius. So before we had a new moon in Gemini, but we had the full moon in a full moon in, where would it be? Aquarius. Was it Aquarius? No. Gemini is there. It would have been a full moon in Scorpio because that would be the culmination of the Taurus moon. So get myself all screwed around, right? It's late at night. Oh boy, shouldn't do this stuff too late, Shane. So we've got the new moon here, and we've got our new moon in Cancer. New moon in Cancer, if you look at it, it's there's some pretty challenging stuff going on there. It actually challenges that Neptune, the Neptune things, and that's because there can be a real conservative feel to some of these, particularly Cancer. Cancer is a very, it's a protective sign. It doesn't like to go out on a limb. It doesn't like to take radical positions, but it will pursue what it wants to, and it does it from a place of safety, and it does it from a place of caution and intuition. It's the moon's own sign. So the moon, she's well traveled and well versed and very wise. There's a wisdom to it, but there's also a distrust of things that rock the boat. The crabs, they don't like it when things change very much. Although they do live with the tides and they do adapt to the tides. I don't know if you've ever seen fiddler crabs on the shore, but they are very they can go with the variety, the vagaries of the moon, because the moon changes so fast. Yet her sign is a fixed sign. So is this more of this patriarchy stuff seeping in, where they're seeing women as not being able to be as nimble or as changing as males? Because we do know that the mutable signs are ruled by only two planets, Jupiter and Mercury. Is that what the case is? I'm not sure. It seems like could possibly be something like that. But this is a creative moon, because it's in a water sign. We can actually use that to create with. We have Saturn down here also in our creative sign of Pisces. So I would basically review your creativity and look at how you're able to utilize it. Now look at how fast Mercury is moving. Mercury just entered Leo, and we already have Mercury by the time the nighttime's come around, moved 5 degrees. That's crazy. Okay. But that's over 4 days. Okay. Our moon before was in Taurus. The moon has actually moved almost 60 degrees. You can see that the moon moves much faster than Mercury, but Mercury is moving pretty fast as well. And soon we're going to have Venus reaching this point. Interesting, right? All interesting things. I love looking at charts like this. This is why I like to share them. I like to share them with you, only because this is something that is, this is what fascinates me about this, because there's lots of stories in here. I could look at any one of these aspects and be like, well, these are the aspects right here, all these crisscrossy lines. I could look at this stuff and be like, whoa, we've got all these storylines and things that are happening, and we can pick up on them. Our main story today is the sun and moon coming together and looking at what's happening, and looking at the next couple of days, and looking at the next couple of weeks ahead, and saying, where do we want to end up when the moon traverses all the way to this point here? What is it that we are going to be addressing as the moon enters Leo and Virgo? And we're going to be dealing with our Cancer things, right? Our trying to put things right, trying to make things safe, trying to make things secure, trying to make things fertile, and just enjoy that summery season. We're going to be making some memories as we go through here. Because we told you that's what the Cancer season is about. It's about making those memories. The 4th of July has already happened on this chart. It's just in the books. And now we're just going to be moving right along, making these memories as we go through the rest of the summer into late July, as we start heading into the Leo season, as the sun starts moving towards Leo. That's where that all goes. So I hope this has been fun. I had to change it, though, because if you're keeping count, I did 6 astrological events, because 5 of them were all on one day. All right. So thank you very much for listening, for watching. Thank you. Hopefully I did not ramble too far off a field. I hope it was fascinating. I hope some of this resonated with you, and that you can use it to your benefit. Just knowing is half the battle. It's fun. I enjoy it immensely. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Happy astrocatting.